This Road Widgets review today is on the Titan Boost 120 volt model inverter system from Point Zero that's stackable with battery banks that are lithium based with additional expansion. We're going to talk about its features, its capabilities. So let's get into some of the technical specs to start with. The system has a 3000 watt pure sine inverter in it. It has the ability to boost double its output capacity to 6000 watts for about 5 seconds. And then after that 5 seconds, you'll need to make sure that the maximum load is at its rate, which is 3000 watts. On the front, you see we have a power distribution panel for all of our 120 volt outlets. We have 6 of these here. On the end, we have a 30 amp NEMO output. This is current limited to 25 amps maximum, but it takes a regular 30 amp RV plug. Across the top here, we have several different DC opportunities. We have USB ports, USB-C and USB-A. They power up to turn them on, and so you can turn them off. This is a high wattage output, so you can charge a cell phone super fast, or even laptops from this. You can plug it directly in here. And then over here we have your typical DC automotive accessory plugs right here. Got 2 of those, and then of course we have all of our breaker resets on every single one of these. We also have a DC fuse in here as well, so lots of protection in case there's faults. Across the top up here we have a display unit which can give you status about that. It's got the amp hours remaining on the battery system. There is a Bluetooth connection for this, so you can connect your phone app to this and get this information on your phone. And then of course we have just the inverter power on off button here. And then down here is the battery bank for this. And these are stackable modules. So this means that I can undo these latches here and start to stack more batteries on top of this. That will increase its running capacity tenfold over this right now. So if this is a 2500 watt hour battery bank, this means that you can run something at 2500 watts of draw for 1 hour. You can imagine if you start stacking a lot of batteries, how long of a draw that actually is. It's quite a lot of power to put in here. We'll turn around to the side and take a look at what's back here. The first port is the input for solar panels. This is connected to an internal solar charge controller. It's an MPPT controller. It's capable of 2000 watts of solar input. The maximum voltage for your solar arrays is 240 volts. Minimum is about 35 volts. And you would configure your solar array how you would conventionally do that in any other installation where you maybe have an array of both parallel and series panels to correctly get your power into here. Next up is an auxiliary port. This auxiliary port has 1000 watts of power per pin set. So in addition to the built-in solar charge controller, you could connect an additional one from the outside. Next up is a battery expansion port that you can connect external batteries into. So if you had, say, some Battle-Born lithium batteries you wanted to hook up into this that you already owned, you would have them cabled up and then connect to here, and they would be able to be charged and feed into this system to expand the total watt capacity of the inverter system. And then finally at the end here we have a 12 volt 20 amp output for 12 volt electrical systems, because this is a 24 volt native battery system. And what you would use is this connector plugged into a distribution panel, say in your RV or your van or something like that. And then this would be able to source all the power for accessory devices, lights, you name it, inside of there, because a lot of devices don't use 24 volts. This inverter has a surge capacity of 6000 watts, and it nominally outputs 3000 watts continuously. This is really important for large power draw devices such as fans or inductive loads. You may know those as an air conditioner, for example. These types of devices take a little bit of time to get up to speed and draw a lot of amperage for a short period of time, so this inverter can overproduce for that short period of time to ensure they start up as they're supposed to. Once the bigger draws are running, they have to stay underneath the 3000 watts maximum output, but this thing can run continuously, delivering that kind of power. So let's talk about these batteries for a minute. These are 2500 watt hour batteries, and these batteries are stackable in a configuration up to 27,500 watts of power. This is approximately 11 batteries worth of stacking on this, and when you put the stacking up really tall, you may want to then use the capability of splitting your stack using the battery expansion port so you can level them out. This gives you a lot of flexibility in the way you may want to install this battery system in your application. When you have all those batteries in there, It doesn't exceed the ability to produce more than 3,000 watts continuously, but it expands your runtime to whatever the drawdown for all of those batteries would look like. So you can imagine if you have a 2,500 watt draw, that means you can run this battery for 1 hour at that power rate, which is a significant amount of power. Now that we've gone over the features and capabilities on this, I want to kind of go through a little bit of just a demonstration of the capabilities of how this handles large power draws. We have an oscilloscope here hooked up to one of the leads. This lead is connected to the power source on the front here. It's also plugged into it, powered off of it for now. And then this other cord is going over to a really large 1/2 horsepower driven fan. It's almost as big as I am, and it's made for cooling shops. I have an assistant over here that's going to turn the switch on in a minute, and we're going to be able to see the waveform as the power turns on and off. So when you're looking at this picture on the oscilloscope, we're seeing a really nice sine wave waveform. It's set up to be measured at exactly 60 hertz. The voltage is correct, and it's very rock steady and stable. So if my assistant could go ahead and turn that switch on, we're going to watch to see for irregularities, and I'll explain what we saw and after we're done. So go ahead and turn. All right, so we'll turn it off. So what you saw there was a slight blip of loss of synchronization of the oscilloscope to the waveform because there was some time shift, but nothing major, and then there was a little bit of what we would call ripple, AC ripple in the waveform. That ripple that you saw was just this system accommodating the additional draw. There was an 1,800 watt load and probably a much larger initial surge for a few seconds during that startup. But afterwards, the numbers of the top and bottom of the AC waveform remain the same, the frequency remained the same, the signal is very clean. I'm very happy seeing that. So this to me means I could plug in a laptop charger, maybe other more sensitive devices, televisions, things like that into this alongside of, say, an air conditioner turning on, because this load simulates an air conditioner as an example. And I wouldn't worry at all about any kind of damage or anything. I'm very happy to see that waveform look like that. Let's talk about the way that this is constructed right now. So if you could get up here nice and close, you would probably see that it is constructed completely out of sheet metal. It's got really durable fasteners in here. Just running my hand across this, there's no sharp edges. There's nothing that's going to catch. All of the grills for the fans are really well designed. There's louvers in the back for air inlet. Basically, it's designed to be handled. It's got a nice handle on the top for portability if you need to move it around. And then, of course, it has the latching system that allows it to stack on top of the batteries. There's little cutouts right here so you can grab it with your hands and also lift up this way too. Now, being this is a little bit of the smaller, lighter inverter compared to their 240 volt offering, this is really easy to just pick up and carry comparatively due to its weight difference, and you can tuck it into a tight little corner of whatever you happen to be putting this in. So if you're putting this in a van or a boat, you can put it underneath a cabinet or tuck it away in a utility space. I would suggest, of course, giving enough space to plug things in and see it. And then, of course, using the expansion port on the side, you don't have to stack this on top of your battery. You could put your battery, say, on the other side. If you wanted to keep a perfect balance, the battery weighs around the same weight as the inverter does. Of course, if you add more batteries, you'll have to balance it out more, but you have that option to do that. This really makes it a very clean installation when you're trying to kind of keep things as tight as possible, because it's got the integrated solar charge controller, the distribution panel for the AC loads, and everything else is all packed into just a rectangle. It makes it very easy to package how you might put something together. You just find that spot and put it in there. Talking about these applications a little further, when you think about how you would normally have to have a solar charge controller and that distribution panel and all the other pieces, you really start to realize that the actual usefulness of this is greatly improved, because you're not running wires, you're not needing to screw things in, you have less risk of how you put it together. It's just sort of a plug and play setup to just get going. Speaking of getting going, when you visit PointZeroEnergy.com's website, you'll see that they have a lot of the products listed there. You can ask them questions, you can reach out to them. They have a great support site, and when you ask those questions. They'll often give you answers about what, based on your application. It's a real person you can actually talk to and have a conversation with, and they're happy to help. I think that is something that is very valuable when you're placing basically a lot of investment in the equipment itself, plus you're depending on it to keep you either comfortable or safe or just on your way, because this thing could be plugged into a refrigerator, it could be plugged into your laptop for work, it could be plugged into lighting at nighttime. You want it to work, and so these guys are out there to really help you keep this running on the road for you. Just to kind of summarize what we talked about today, this system is compact, it's mobile, it's simple to set up. You just plug it in and it works. You can immediately use this once you've got it powered up. You plug your devices in. If you have mobile devices, cell phones, laptops, anything that uses USB, you got a couple great ports to connect into that. If you are applying this into, say, van or a small RV, you've literally got a 30 amp power output right here to plug the shore power into this to power it. So it's effectively turning what used to be a full plug-in, you had to be plugged in for anything to work, into a mobile device that you can drive down the road or go somewhere where you don't have plug-in power and everything still works. It's a great conversion to have. If you're putting it into maybe more unique situations like marine or boat, or maybe a smaller application, like heck, you don't even have to be living off grid or anything like that. Maybe you just need it for work, construction or traveling work, things like that. You can tuck this away in your car or work truck or something like that because of the size it is, and you can break up the battery and connect with those interconnects. This is an excellent flexible option. The build quality on it is really great. It's an excellent layout, the way it's all put in here. It's just very accommodating of however you may want to package it. It's designed to be user-friendly and just simple. If you have problems with it, you can reach out to customer service. They're able to answer the phone. You can talk to the actual people. You're talking to people at least this is sort of North American market for this. You can talk to people who live in the same time zone as you potentially, or at least very nearby. They're really eager to help, and they're constantly been taking customer feedback and putting it back into their products. So if you encounter issues, it's likely that if it's something that needs to change, it's going to make its way into the product eventually. So these guys have been doing this for several years now, and you are reaping the benefits of all of that product input at this point as well. It's a well put together product. So thank you for watching this product review today, and I'll see you on the next one.